How you doing, stranger? Welcome back to the channel. Today we're going to be covering everything that you need to know in order for you to run an absolutely profitable call funnel with ads in 2026. Everything that goes into the messaging, the media buying, the funnel, the sales process, so you can actually scale to either high 5 figures, 6 figures, and beyond consistently every single month with a call funnel. Why? Because it works. Call funnel is one of the longest place in the books. It simply works. You get book calls on your calendar, you close calls. So let's get right into it so you can actually understand what it goes into actually building this funnel in 2026, right? So the first thing that we're gonna be covering is messaging and strategy. Now, this is the foundation of everything, right? Every dollar that you spend on ad, every word that goes into your funnel, every minute on a sales call, it all lies or dies by the message you choose before any of it exists. And this is so important because this is gonna determine who are you gonna attract with your ads, your funnel, your headlines. Everything is based on your messaging. Because if your messaging is cooked, you're gonna attract the wrong people. Either it's not your ICP or they simply don't even have the money to afford your services, your info product, whatever it is that you're selling. So one of the main messaging angles and audiences that I personally focus, right? And this is something that I personally do is whenever I'm scaling to even 6 figures a month, there's only two types of messaging and audiences that I will focus. These in-market audiences with proof-based messaging. Why? Because it works. Because these are the people that are the closest to the money. I want to think about in-market audiences when you're talking to the 3 or 4% who is already looking for the solution that you're providing. They already have the problem, they know it, they're searching for a solution. That's why we target these people, even when you're first launching your ads to paid ads, if that's what you find yourself in right now. You always want to target these people first because these are the people that are closest to the money. You call them out directly by their name or situation. You speak their language, not yours. They drive cheapest cost per book calls, again, because there are already people searching for your solution. You actually have to know how to articulate and your messaging correctly, so you attract these people, and their highest quality leads in the pipeline, for sure. They're already looking for the solution. Again, they're the closest to the money. Now, the messaging that best works on these people is proof-based messaging. Why? Because you are leading with a specific, verifiable client results. You're leaving with your credibility, and you're leaving the results that you're getting for your clients and that you're getting for yourself. Not just we'll help 100 for clients, but we scale this client from 40K to 100K in 90 days. You want to be really specific with your results that you're leveraging on your ads. So the more specific, the better, because it really does the selling for you and is specifically, it's credible, right? So this is the messaging angles and the audience angles. Now, when it comes down to actually crafting your messaging, and shout out Jeremy Haynes for this framework, is the CPO framework, which is basically every message must be built on a clear understanding of where your prospect is, what's actually holding them back, and where do they want to go. Now, when we talk about circumstances, I want you to think about where your prospect current situation, where are they stuck, what does the data look like, what is the worldview, what are the experiences right now. Now, when it comes down to the problems, you want to talk about the real root problems, not what they think is the problem, but what's actually the problem. The surface level pain versus the root cause of the problem, and your message must speak to both of these, right? Really, really important to articulate the problems correctly in the way they see them. Now, when it comes down to your outcome, it's all about what are they after. You want to distinguish between the milestone, which is in the next 90 days, and the grand outcome, which is what do they want out of life in general, right? So if you understand their circumstances, the problem holding them back, where do they want to go, now they start thinking about your offer, which is the bridge between where they are and where they want to go. And it's important when you articulate the problems, the outcomes, and the circumstances correctly. So this is the foundation of every messaging. Now let's talk about the media buying. So this is exactly how you spend money without burning. And I'm gonna be very direct with this. Media buying does not drive results, messaging does. A good media buying process is not gonna fix a messaging problem. Doesn't matter how good your media buyer is or how good your bidding strategy is or whatever. Now, don't really overcomplicate this, right? AVO or AVO, when to use each. So basically we're using AVO when we're using above $300 a day. We're using CVO when we're spending under $300 a day. And because we really want to have control where our money is going when we're using AVO basically. And we're using the three main assets, which is going to be bro, lookalike, or index tags. Bro always outperforms everything, unless sometimes lookalike really does when we have really, really good custom audiences based on past buyers, right? Or best really good quality leads. So that's pretty good. So lookalike, bro, and interstack. When it comes to how many creators per asset, we're actually running 15 to 20 creators per asset minimum, right? With Andromeda newest practices, you understand that different angles, different formats, and different completely creatives are what's working best. So you want to have, again, different angles in your ads, different formats. You can do podcast style, you can do tagging heads, you can do middle boards. There's a billion different formats that you can try. Now let's talk about your pixel setup. Now, if you're optimizing for the wrong event, you're training the algorithm to find the wrong people. And this is so important, and I put it even down here. If you put garbage in, you are gonna get garbage out. And I see so many people optimizing for page view, right? Optimizing for form tab, optimizing for form submitted. And if you're in a call funnel, your only goal is to book qualified calls on your calendar. There's nothing else that you should be worrying about that is not a qualified book call on your calendar. And obviously you can even implement more qualification using your conversion API, and you're gonna disqualify even people that you allow to book, which I'm gonna talk about more when I go into the application of the call funnel, because basically you don't wanna send any data back of any unqualified leads or people that are actually not your ideal customer back to the pixel, because again, garbage in, garbage out. Now, when it comes to your budget, all right, work backwards from your target, all right? What's the goal and revenue goal that you have, right? Because you need to know your math. You need to reverse engineer your goals based on your numbers so you can actually understand the best case scenario, the worst case scenario, and the mid case scenario. So your test budget should be the closest to your cap, or at least 5 to 6x your target cost per book call, whether that be $50, $100, $200. It really is gonna depend on who you're going after, your market. So just have those numbers in mind, understand your average order value, your cost per book call, your cash per call, and your close rate and your show rate, which is gonna be the more driving factors when it comes to your call funnel, right? Now, let's talk about the funnel itself. Now, the machine that converts clicks into acts. Now, your funnel isn't just a landing page, it's a sequential trust building system. Every element has one job, which is there to move the right person to the next step and filter out everyone who is not the right person. Now, when it comes down to congruency within your funnel, your ads and everything, congruency is the game, right? As well as messaging is the game, congruency is the game, simply because the message in your ads must carry all the way through the funnel and into the sales flow. If your ad speaks to one person and your funnel speaks to another person, then the bridge is broken and you will bleed money at every stage. That's the first silent killer of every ad spend. There's simply no congruence within the ads. Your messaging is actually drifting, your ad says one promise, your landing page says another thing, your BSL goes into a third direction. You want to have congruency between everything. You're actually talking to one person, selling one outcome, talking about one promise, and it's congruent throughout the whole funnel. Through your headlines, your ads, your emails, your SMS, everything needs to be congruent. Now, let's talk about the landing page, right? So the landing page, again, is just a continuation of the ad, not a new conversation. You want to be congruent with your colors as well, and your thumbnails and your tone. Now, the first thing on your landing page is going to be your callout. So basically, you can use these. Sometimes we don't use callouts, but these are pretty good, right? So you're going to directly address the audience, and in some cases, even include some qualification. So an example of this could be coaches and agency above 50K a month. Coaches and agency spending $5,000 a month on ads, right? You want to be really specific of who you're going after. Now, the headline should do a few things pretty good, which is encapsulate pain, a unique angle, the desired outcome, and the time frame. Now, an example and simple framework that we use is learn how we help with the XYZ and XYZ time frame with the XYZ problem. A few examples that I have here of different headlines. You can do learn how we help build an 8-figure cleaning company with my RE process in 90 days without going in debt or cleaning out any houses. Unlock my free training on how I went from 9 to 5 worker to multiple 6-figure earning from my laptop in just under 2 years without any prior experience or business acumen. How established coaches are booking A+ qualified calls a day without call outreach or posting content every day. Again, you want to calculate pain, you want to talk about a unique mechanism, you want to sell them on the outcome, and you want to have a clear time frame. That's really all about the headline. Now, let's talk about the BSL. The BSS really does the heavy lifting on this funnel. So it pre-sells, it handles objections, it filters intent, and all before a human ever gets on the phone. Now, the main and simple structure that you want for your BSL is first, you want to tell them exactly what they're going to get out of watching this video. What is exactly you're going to help them with? What's the main promise of this video? Now, you want to establish credibility so they actually want to listen to you and why they should even listen to you in the first place. Then you want to sell them on the opportunity. What's this vehicle that you're telling them? What's this opportunity of this new way of doing things that you are selling them on? Then you want to be very specific on your offer. What are the deliverables? How it works? How are you going to help them? What are the specific things that you're going to implement for them or you're going to help them with? What does the time look like? And everything that goes into your offer. You want to be really specific on it. And I always talk about the outcomes. Now you pre-handle objections, and at the end, you do a CTA, pretty much just do the application below, you throw more testimonials, you can address more skepticism, right? You can call out more objections, but it's really all that, right? You main promises, establish credibility, sell them on the opportunity, you're very specific about your offer, you handle objection and skepticism, and you throw that CTA. Right, when we're talking about two more sophisticated buyers, right, you want to use chapters on the VSL so they can skip through if they want to see something specific, right? You can let them navigate. You don't have to force consumption on sophisticated buyers because they are more aware people, right? Now, when it comes down to broad marketers, you want to force consumption, right? You want to use engagement smart, drop timers to create friction and filter intent. And obviously depending on your audiences, so you want more people who see through the whole video because those are going to be your buyers, right? You want to force consumption on these people. Now let's talk about the application. The application is a critical filter designed to acquire necessary information, disqualifying unsuitable prospects, and ensure only ideal clients proceed. Now, only use necessary questions on your application. This is so important. I see so many people just asking questions because they want to ask questions that they're not really leveraging on sales calls or even to dictate if the prospect is qualified or not. So every question should be intentional and serve a purpose. So either you're qualifying, you're increasing intent, or your data, or you're collecting data for the sales call, right? So don't rely on just one financial question. Start with low threshold questions so they're welcome into the form. And then as you go, you build on top of that, right? You want to build momentum from question to question. Just don't go straight to how much money you got, right? You want to capture context first. This is something that basically do. So we do partial submission. This is something that you can do in Typeform to where if they don't finish the application, you will still collect the contact information so you can have your setters reaching out to these people. Normally what I personally do is that at least I ask 2 financial qualifier questions before I collect information, because that will really help me detect, only have my setters calling out people that are actually financially qualified. But it's really going to depend on your budget. It's really going to depend on the audience. So don't take that directly. This is just something that I do in some offers. And you have lead routing, which is basically based on your question, you determine the outcome. And this is what actually going to help you with your pixel. Because if you're allowing majority of people to book a call, right? You don't want to send all these people back to Facebook. You only want to send the ones that you actually determine as most qualified prospect, and the qualified prospects back to Facebook. And you want to either disqualify the ones that are not, or downsell into a low ticket product, for example, if you have that, right? So when it comes down to the tech stack, we have Typeform embedded in one page with Calendly, and that's what seems to work best for us. It gets the 75% plus on self-booking rate when done correctly. So just embed Calendly with Typeform, pretty simple. Now let's talk about the thank you page, the most underrated asset in the funnel. Most people waste this page, right? Your thank you page is pre-framing territory. The call hasn't happened yet, but the sales calls can be already won or lost. Now, when we're talking about your thank you page, it's all about how can I pre-frame this prospect as much as I can so they know, like, and trust me before they hop on a sales call. Now, the first thing that you're gonna have in this page is gonna be your pickle video, which should actually tell people what to expect so they are more responsive to the sales team. So you're gonna get a text, you're gonna get an email, you're gonna get a call, you're gonna talk to my team member, etc., etc. So they're actually knowing what to expect and they're responsive to it. They're gonna set the calendar invite. You're gonna tell them to do their due diligence, right? So basically think of this like, search out who I am, or testimonials, this is our company, this is what we do, actually look out for if we can actually help you, like do your due diligence. You're gonna tell them to check out all the resources below, which is gonna be the breakout videos and the testimonials, right? And you wanna sell them in a real urgency of why they should even hop on the call, a real urgency factor on your market, on your offer, whatever it is that it is, that will actually tell these people to get actually to show up. Now, when it comes out to your breakout videos, right? Your breakout videos are designed to educate prospects, provide certainty, and proactively handle objections before the call. These should be based on insights for sales calls, common questions, and what prevents people from buying. Now, your breakout videos should be like mini VSLs. You can think of this. You basically address your objections within the first few minutes, and then you micro pitching them on how your offer or service or product solves that specific objection, right? So think of it as mini VSLs. Solve the objection, micro pitching them on why our product solved that specific objection. Now, let's talk about testimonials and case studies. Testimonials and case studies should be strategic, featuring different scenarios and different buyer types and clearly explaining transformations. They provide powerful social proofs and reinforce the value proposition. Again, you want to be intentional with everything. You should show different type of buyers and where people started and where the outcome that they achieve while working with you. The goal is by the time they show up the call again, they're already briefing. And you wanna actually, if you wanna actually people to go to your thank you page and consume all these sales assets, basically, you can just tell them to, hey, watch this video. hey, just this is homework before a call, right? Because these are gonna make people to not watch nothing of your thank you page. You gotta frame and position these sales assets as what they need in order for them to succeed. Like, I was talking to you in the call, let's say the setter, and you know what? You really remind me of this specific prospect and this specific story. I'm gonna show you this video I think is gonna help you with XYZ so you can get to XYZ outcome, right? You always tie down to the outcome and the thing that they want. Not just watch a video, no, this is gonna help you achieve XYZ, or this is gonna help you understand this to the outcome that they want so they can actually consume the page. Now, section 4, lastly, let's talk about the sales process. You can actually turn book calls into closed deals. Now, booking the call is not the finish line. There's 72 hours between booking the call and where the call is your biggest conversion window. Now, most people waste it completely. Well, since you're watching this video, you're not gonna do it. Now, you're gonna have your manual section and your automated section. Now, your manual section, the first thing is gonna be speed to lead, right? The 5-minute rule. The moment somebody books a call, setters reaching out within 5 minutes, call first, qualifying it on the spot, create a real connection, and increasing the intent by micro pitching it on the call. Having a real conversation with a real person is the most important thing to actually get connection with these people, get them to show, get them to buy. Now, this setter is gonna send personalized resources. Within the first few hours of booking, setters sending a personalized video tailored to what the prospect put in their application and conversation. Not just template, not a mass blast, it's because we actually read what you wrote. Based on the conversation that they had on the call, or based on the application that the person sent, you wanna say, oh, this specific video is gonna help you with XYZ based on what you said. This could be a sales asset again, this could be the videos on the thank you page. This could be a YouTube video breaking down a specific objection and specific process of your service. And this is why you want to send personalized resources. Now, the third thing is going to be creating a group chat with the closer. So the setter should be reaching that bridge within the setter and the closer so they can actually connect on who they're going to be tagging on that sales call, right? Really, really important. Now, when it comes down to the automated section, you're going to have your automated reminders, 24 hours, 6 hours, 3 hours, and 1 hour. It's pretty simple. They should be looking automated, right? Automated reminders. And then you're going to have your value dense emails. So this is going to be up to 4 emails per day within the 72-hour window. Now, these emails, they're not going to spam. They're pre-framing, and again, sales assets. Each email should have one job, either objection handling, teaching a concept, sharing proof, or building urgency. Now, these are some of the emails that you can build. So value and education. So you teach them something immediately useful, establish authority before you ask for anything, right? You can have case studies and social proof. So any specific client story that you can tell on these emails that actually shows the full story of the client, how it went from A to Z. You want to have killer objections, basically. So you want to address the main common objections that you're getting on sales calls and when people are not buying. Then you want to create, again, urgency and scarcity. So real constraint, limited spot, baseline capacity, why they should move now and not 6 months later, real reasons why they should do that. And you want to tell your personal story. Again, you want to humanize the brand. You want to connect, because when people connect, they convert, right? So basically, people are connecting more with yourself. People buy from people. Again, people buy from people. Remember that. Now, lastly is going to be the hammer down strategy. So simultaneously, you're going to be retargeting everybody that books a call with content across every platform they use. So frequency is basically the metric here. Think of 50 short pieces of content and 30 form pieces of long form content. And everything that we're doing here, right? And it's really going to depend on how much book calls you're getting every month if you actually should be running this strategy. But think again about pre-framing these prospects as much as we can to get them to know, like, and trust us before they hop on a call. So we're basically blasting their phone with content so they cannot get us outside the phone. So they see your face everywhere. Again, the goal is simple. By the time the call starts, you're not a stranger. You're the obvious choice to work with them.